Okay, so you're tuning into another episode of the Status Podcast. We gotta talk about the transfer portal, man. It's been crazy. We got big names out, big names in. Coaching carousel is going nuts, but the transfer portal is one that we gotta touch on.
Man, whole free agency going crazy.
Whole free agency going crazy, man. So make sure you tune into this episode. It's gonna be a good one. Status Podcast. Status Podcast. But we could start. I mean, today we're gonna talk about the transfer portal.
Absolutely.
The transfer portal is crazy right now. People are leaving for so many different reasons. If the coach left, or they don't like where they are in the depth chart, or they don't like the school, or they just wanted a new start, they want to be somewhere new. I mean, there's a ton of different reasons that kids are leaving. But right now, it's going crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think with the NCAA, I think because they got so much backlash, I think, over the years of, like, you know, all the bull crap, you know, we as student athletes went through, without even knowing, they created free agency within, you know, college sports.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like, and now with the where student athletes get paid, you really it's really a free agency, low-key.
The transfer portal with NIL is the sickest because, like, you could be somewhere, say I'm at Oklahoma, for example.
Okay.
Like, Oklahoma's a big school, but it's not a big market.
Right,
so
right.
I'm going to leave Oklahoma. I'm going to go play at USC because I'm in California, SoCal.
Yeah.
I'm a big name. And these NIL deals are going to be rolling in.
Caleb Williams, he put his name in there, the quarterback. And I don't know how true this is. I heard from a friend that went to Eastern Michigan, you know, a mutual friend. He said one of their alumni who played quarterback there offered or tweeted something saying they'll give him $1 million to come there or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but I heard him like, little things like that's going to start playing a part because now the alumni is going to get into it, and that money is unlimited.
It's
really.
unlimited. It's unlimited. And it's really free agency because, like, whenever you go into that market, teams are recruiting these athletes at the professional level, and it's really what's your cap space?
Yeah.
What's your cap space, you know? And these players are looking at it like, okay, I can maximize my dollar amount at this place because they have the cap space to give me that money. Or at the college level, I can go to this place because their donor base is crazy,
right,
and that's pretty much their cap limit. The alumni that's willing to give out those deals.
Now let me ask you this: do you blame them?
Do I blame the kids?
Yeah, like do you feel like so you know you're BC Pride, UConn Pride, whatever the case may be. Now are you showing some type of like anger or feeling some kind of way if that kid, now I played for you for 2 years, I up and leave to go to Pitt, you know, and so now are you welcoming me back with open arms, or are you feeling some kind of bitter taste in your mouth, or keep it going? Because that really, I look at it like, for real, there's no loyalty nowadays with them. You know what I mean? So you as an alum, do you feel some kind of way like, all right, they just won the national championship, and he was part of it in 2019, and he leaves after that year just because he think he can go to a bigger market. Now when we recognize that national championship, do you feel some bitterness towards that kid? Because now the following years after that, y'all aren't so good.
Me as an alum?
Yeah.
Towards the kid that left?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you going, bro? Like, listen, you are our starting quarterback, and you got it made here. Like, at this school, you got it made. You know, the fans love you, the university loves you, the campus loves you, the coaching staff loves you. You know, you've been doing all these great things at this institution, and then you up and leave.
Your market's too small.
That's crazy, man. and that's just what it is, really. You know, it's free agency, which is crazy. But what's messed up is that is only for a small amount of of kids.
Right, yeah.
That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
You being a big name at this school, you have more of an opportunity to explore that market. To say, listen, I'm not happy here, or not even I'm not happy here, but I have more potential to maximize through my name, image, and likeness, opposed to another kid who's just not happy in their situation.
Right, yeah.
And if that kid's not happy in their situation, they enter the transfer portal, and then what's going to come about that for that kid? You know what I mean?
What was the number we spoke a couple days ago? How many kids are in the transfer portal right now, or were after the season?
Well, since the one transfer rule and portal became live, there's been 15,000 kids that was in the transfer portal. 15,000 kids.
So now as a high school senior, I'm competing with 15,000 other student athletes who already have maybe experience under their belt, know what it's like to be on a college campus, been through different circumstances, face different adversity. So your recruiting just got that much harder. There's even coaches that come on record saying they only spend 20% of their recruiting on high school kids.
Prime time.
Yeah, that's what so if you're only getting 20% chance to go, it's really, I think, honestly, I don't know how much longer it can last. What do you think?
I mean, it's become so much of a business at the college level where these coaches are only getting 2 years to maximize that program and to get to that program to where the institution wants it to be.
Right.
And the AD and the president and the alumni are like, listen, you need to win. You need to win now. So these coaches are like, I need to win now. I'm going to go get into this transfer portal, and there's kids who I know can play college football. I'm going to recruit those kids because I don't have the time to grab a high school kid and develop them into what we need to be a winning program. And that's crazy because you start dipping in the transfer portal, you pluck a kid from here, you pluck a kid from there. It's hard to build a program that way because it's like a revolving door. Kids are coming and going. And the sustainability of that program is limited because you're not going to have a kid that's in there for four or 5 years and you really built a program, you built a culture, and this is your core group of people, and they understand what it is to be at this institution, and they pass that down to high school kids who in turn come and they understand what it is to be at that institution. Like Alabama, I mean, they've been able to build something so powerful so that whenever kids come through, they already, as soon as they get there, the older kids are giving them that knowledge. Like, listen, this is what it's like to be at Alabama. This is what we need to do, X, Y, and Z. But you get to another place who doesn't have that program like that and that culture set.
One-hit wonders.
One-hit wonders, and the kids that's coming there, they're coming, they're balling, but they don't understand what it is to be at that institution. So they can't pass the knowledge down to the young kids because they don't know themselves.
Yeah. I think even with the transfer portal, you're going to get a lot of mid-major schools who are going to find success. A year, take 2 years off, another year. It's just not it's too inconsistent. It's like a roller coaster. So then now you're going to have your Alabamas, your Georgia, who's going to stay at the top of the food chain because they are building programs and not just winning right now. And it all goes on, I think, to the program standard or the coaching standard of how you define success.
Yeah.
So are you defining your success by wins and losses? Or are you defining your success by what you're putting into that student athlete to mold them, to educate them so they can eventually, like you said, teach the younger group that comes behind them to eventually it's just going to stay right here. To stay right here. Because I learned from you, you learned from him, he learned from him, and just so on and so on. So
it's just a culture and people that came through to know what it's supposed to be.
The expectation. It's a standard.
It's a standard. Yeah, it really is. But there are schools who are still in that mode. If you look at schools like Northwestern, They are, they built a program. That coach has been there for 12 years now.
Right.
And, they have years where they're really good.
Right.
Because they have those young guys who've been in the program for so long and they've been able to develop them. Now they're seniors and now they're ball players.
Right.
You know what I mean? And schools like that, you're going to have your years where you're down because you're developing kids and you're developing young men. But you're going to have those years where you're like, oh, I'm playing for a Big Ten title.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And not as many schools are willing to give that coach the leash, that long leash to build the program. They're like, listen, you need to win right now. And that's why people are dipping in the transfer portal.
I even like so for speaking from, experience, going into a program, we was looking, I think, mediocre, 5-7, 5-7. All 3 of my years, but we all stayed together. And by that senior year, we knew what those seniors felt like last year, and we knew how we got our butt kicked the last game. We ain't going out like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we already had that bond built. There was no new faces. We all came from the mud together, and just like that experience, and just like, man, I remember 2 years ago when we was doing bear crawls, 200 yards. You know what I mean? So you talk about those things, and that builds that bond, that chemistry to where I don't think with the transfer portal you're going to have. No, so like you're not building those long. Think about how many friends you got from college. You still talk to this. Y'all been through the mud. Yeah. Even transferring schools, you still got those relationships because you've been through the mud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's how I am. I talk to some of my college friends every day, just because we've been through the mud.
Exactly.
Like so with the transfer portal, you're not getting it. You're like getting it. Like all right, here's a chance for me to be able to get sponsored by Subway. You know what I mean? This market's bigger. That market's bigger. So whatever the case may be, you're not building that bond at all.
No, you're not. I mean, you're leaving. You go to a school, you have those experiences, and a lot of it is what you go through.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's what you go through. Some kids are going to school and they're there for a semester or two, and then they're out of there. You know what I mean? And you don't have that relationship because you didn't go through those experiences with those players, which is crazy to think about, man, because like you see programs who, like Northwestern, pop like out of nowhere, and then you look at the roster and you're like, oh man, we got a transfer from Texas, we got a transfer from USC, we got a transfer from Alabama, and the roster is full of transfers, and then the next year they suck.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just crazy to see the roller coaster of college athletics through the transfer now.
And don't get it I don't blame them. I don't blame the kids because, like you said, it's becoming such a business. Because now, as a student athlete, I commit to you for the next 4 years, but you're not committing to me because after 2 years, you get an offer from USC. Let's talk about that. USC. To go coach them, and you jump right on it. Now I'm sitting there here like, what about me? You know what I mean? Where's the loyalty there?
Yeah.
So there's like really, it's hard to really justify anything because you can't blame the kid for, man, look, I thought I was committing to you for 4 years, and that's not what it is.
Yeah. and I know we're talking about the transfer portal, but you bring up a good point with coaches, kids committing to coaches and coaches leaving. I just want to go on the record to tell kids, like, if you are going on your visits, don't commit to the coach. Commit to the program, commit to the institution, and commit to the teammates that are there, because those are the people that you're going to go through the battles with. You're going to lose some kids to transfers or kids getting kicked out of school, but the bond that you build on that campus with those teammates while you're on your visit is the school that you need to pick, because those are the kids you're going to go to battle with. You're going to come in one day and the coach is going to be there. You're going to come in the next day, he's going to be gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whenever you're going through the recruiting process, do not base your decision on the coach.
Now, I know for me, when I was going through my recruiting process, when I committed to Kent, I can honestly say I didn't commit because of the coach. And I committed because of my class, our recruiting class, like that when they had the recruiting weekend, and all the people they actually really wanted came together, and so being around them guys, I'm like, this dude's cool, like, you know what I mean, show love, connected afterwards, still talking, seeing who committed. I'm like, oh, I like it, like, you know what I mean, the boys up there was cool, and you know what I mean, the school was good, So like when I came across the the coach leaving, well, mutually departing from the university because of success, lack of success, I faced the question or faced the obstacle to, oh, you got a new coach, you gonna transfer? Nobody knows nothing. They just naturally ask you that because you got a new coach. And I'm like, and I had to ask myself that because I'm starting talking to my friends back home, like that's at Division II or D1AA, and they said their coach told them to hit me up, open me with open arms or whatever. And I started thinking, I'm like, I named all the things I liked about this, and not one of them was like, and not to say I had a problem with the coaching, but not one of them was like the coach. You know what I mean? It was, oh, my boy, my bro, this. Oh, the class, like, you know what I mean? The university, the fun, the friends I built here. Nothing was about the coach. I'm like, why would I transfer? Like, you know what I mean? So that's a prime example of like committing to like a university, like you said. So like, I enjoyed every moment of it. So I'm like, he leave, that's cool. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Because I didn't commit to you. I committed to the university. I committed to my brothers.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what it is. We talk a lot about social media. We talk a lot about instant gratification in today's world. How much of that plays a part in the transfer portal?
I think more than what people realize. I think honestly because and we talked. You spoke about him earlier, Coach Prime. He does a great job with it. Like, imagine making a commitment as a high school senior, and you see the head coach sit there and warn the world that I told you this happened because of the decision I made. Oh man, I feel good. Man, I feel good. I got let's take away who he is, but you got the head coach of the team you're going to just tweet it out, post it, whatever, to millions of fans around the world. This guy's gonna be the truth. I told you this was gonna happen. Man, think of how that's gonna make you feel, man. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So now I'm right there, my chops. I'm looking at the chops. I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to play for you. You excited about that for me? I seen it. Everybody else seen it. So just something little like that just plays a part. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
And then you think about, let's go to different, just simple. Let's stay on the same thing. The same coach, when he was in the locker room, you see this video of him yelling at kids about the phones, whatever. Showing that pride and whatnot, that type of coach, I think either one of us will be. But in the background, you see their locker room. So I scroll down comments. I seen about 100 comments. Is that Jackson's locker room? Is that the... Now people's curious. You paying a little attention to little things like that. You're like, oh, I want to take a visit there. I want to see that. So little things like that, people don't realize that
social media plays a huge role in recruiting. It also plays a huge role in the decision to transfer if you're at an institution. It's like, for example, if you go on any of the pages of college programs, and for example, there's a quarterback at a school and he's not playing well, and I'm the backup at the school, you can go on there and you can check out the post of a quarterback at the school, and all of the comments are going to read, oh, they need to play Ty. They need to play Ty. Why is Ty not playing? Why is Ty on the bench? Oh, this kid got 2 interceptions this game. Why did they put Ty in? And you're thinking like, you know what? These dudes is right. I deserve to play. I'm out of here.
Right. Yeah. And I think universities realize that too, because if you notice, like you said, you go on every site, they got their Instagram or their something where you can follow or keep up updates of whatever university. So they know it as well, and also coaches know it within, when they're dealing with the transfer portal, even regular high school recruiting, because they always say, what's your Twitter? I'm gonna hit you up on Twitter. And just little posts where I follow you. Oh, now you got the kid wondering, or even you in the transfer portal. I'm at the University of Texas. You're just transferring from Pitt. All right, let me click on it. You seeing me click to follow you now? You're like, oh, maybe this could be an option. Let me explore this. You know what I mean? Little things like that.
How many of these kids are being ill-advised about leaving our institution?
I say about 95%.
95%, because you think about, I'm a freshman at a big time school. I'm not playing right away, right? Maybe I'm a 4-star recruit. I came in with high expectations. I went through preseason camp. I didn't perform the way that they expected me to perform. And now everyone at home is like, why ain't you playing? why are you not in the game? You know, what's going on? Why this kid's not better than you?
Right.
And then you enter your name into the transfer portal, and these schools start recruiting you. And they reach out to my coach, and they're like, hey, so-and-so's in the transfer portal, what's the deal with him? Oh, well, he didn't work hard. He came in, he was a cancer in the academic center.
Right.
You know, he didn't do what he needed to do in the classroom. He doesn't do what he needs to do in the weight room. And, I mean, he's a decent talent, but he was kind of overrated in high school. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm in the transfer portal. The reality of who I am is getting out there. Now, I don't have a home. That happened to 11,000 kids. There was 15,000 of them that entered the transfer portal. 11,000 of them did not end up signing with the new school. And some of them, not all of them are, you know, big time players with a weak work ethic. A lot of them were just kids who nobody wanted. They weren't really good players. Right. And they're probably being advised by mom and dad or high school coach or my trainer back at home, uncles, aunts, you know, about you need to get out of there, and now you don't have anywhere to go.
Now, I don't know, it's 11,000. So when you're saying 11,000 didn't end up anywhere, that means anywhere from D1 to D3 or just at the D1 level?
Nowhere. Nowhere at all. Home. Back in the portal. Back in the portal. They entered the transfer portal. They went through the recruiting process. Nobody wanted them. Mm-hmm. That scholarship from the institution they were at is gone because they gave it to someone else that they probably got from the transfer portal. Now you're left with nothing, which is sad, man.
Yeah, it's real sad.
Because, like,
at the end of the day, forget everything else. Forget the football field. Forget everything else. You had a free education.
You had a free education.
You know what I mean? That's where people fell into, you know, advise you at, like, okay, what are you doing in the weight room? What are you doing on the field? All right. More important, what are you doing in the classroom? You know what I mean? What's your grades looking like? What's this? What's that? Okay. If obviously if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in the classroom, you're definitely not doing what you got to do in the field. That's just the likelihood of it. Yeah. So 11,000?
11,000 is a crazy number. and a lot of it is because people are in your ear. Right. You know, you're the greatest, you're this, you're that. And you have this expectation of yourself that you're reading on social media or you're reading from the people that's in your ear. You're not really looking in the mirror and being realistic about where you are because everyone's been telling you how great you've been for so long, but you don't put the work in to get the praise or deserve the praise that everyone's giving you. And now whenever you're faced with a decision to leave and you make that decision because of all of the people that's in your ear, the reality of what you've been doing over the years, it comes out.
So as a college, you know, student athlete looking, you know everything you just described, what advice would you give me?
I would say, first and foremost, look in the mirror. Am I doing everything I need to do in the weight room? Am I doing everything I need to do in the film room? Am I practicing hard? Do my coaches trust me? If all of these things check off, and you're just not good enough to play at that school, and you got to be realistic with yourself. Right. You know, this guy's better than I am. Right. Point blank, period. You know, and then you can go ahead and enter the transfer portal because you know I'm doing everything possible to get on the field. I'm just not good enough to play here. Yeah. Go ahead and enter the transfer portal because now, whenever coaches are reaching out about you, hey, how's Dana? Hey, what was Dana like at Kent State? He's in the transfer portal. I just want to, get some information. You know, Dana's a great kid. He's going to work hard. He's going to go crazy in the weight room. He studies film, you know, but we have two guys on our roster that he just can't play in front of. Right. But I think he can play at your school.
Right.
Then you got a home. You know, you got a home. On the flip side, if you don't check all those boxes and that school calls Kent State, hey, how's Dana? You know, I see he's in the transfer portal. Oh, Dana, he's a great talent. He doesn't work hard. He doesn't study in the film room. He doesn't go hard in the weight room. He could be X, Y, and Z, but he just blew it. Yeah. You know, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not taking a chance on that type of dude. We don't need that in our program. Right. You know, and then that's just the way it is. You got to be honest with yourself. Like, your parents are going to tell you one thing. Your friends are going to tell you one thing. Your people on social media, your following is going to tell you another thing. But if you're not being honest with yourself, then, you know, whatever situation that you're in, it's because you didn't look in the mirror and assess where you were.
Yeah, and I think like you hit it right on the head. Like a lot of these student athletes are being misled, and they're paying for it in the end. You know what I mean? So, and it goes back to what I said. More importantly than the football field or anything else, that education. If you got a scholarship, you getting a free education. If you don't take advantage of that, man, that's probably be the biggest regret of your life.
No doubt about it.
And understand also, to piggyback off what you said, sometimes you got to realize too, like, you can be the man where you're at. It's just all of a sudden you got to wait your turn. Because prime example, the running back from Alabama, Robinson Jr., number 4. He waited his turn. Now I think he's gonna be the number 1 running back in this year's draft. After 1 year. So that 1 year could do wonders for you. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, like, at that level, the NFL scouts are gonna look at that. Like, this dude came there, he competed every year. He was behind freaking Derrick Henry and monsters. He was Damian Harris, and he's behind these dudes. But he stayed there, he competed, he got his opportunity, and he flourished. You know what I mean? A lot of kids would have up and left that situation.
You think even look at I seen in one meme when they said, think about this backfield, where they had Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Ingram, and Kenyon Drake.
Crazy.
4 running backs that was prime time, if not still prime time running backs in the league. And Kamara ended up going to Tennessee. Kenyon Drake stayed. The other 3 stayed, whatnot, and at the term. But just there's talent everywhere. That's what a lot of people don't realize. There's talent. You're not competing. And you say it all the time, the kid. You're not competing with just your high school teammates or your rival teammate. You're competing with. You know, you got Buddy down in Florida. You got Buddy over there in Cali. You Buddy there in Wyoming. Like, you're competing with more than just what you know.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So think about this. All of these great players who are at a school like Michigan or at a school like LSU or at one of these big-time college markets, they get there, they're 4 or 5-star recruits. They don't put in the work that they need to do to get on the field. They go to another place, they get another opportunity because they're like, okay, this kid is a great talent. Maybe we can do something with him.
Right.
They go there and they sit on the bench there too. Why do you think that happens?
It goes back to, the advice that you said when I asked. Not looking at the man in the mirror, not facing reality, not facing the facts, not saying like, okay, am I doing everything I possibly can to better myself as a player? You know what I mean? Am I buying in? Because you might get some players who think just because you transfer from Alabama, wherever the case may be, that all right, I'm transferring down to a smaller school. Man, I'm the man. I don't need to do this. No, it doesn't work like that. Just because you transferring down to a mid-major school, a smaller school, don't mean that school doesn't have talent.
Exactly.
There's a reason why that person that was starting there before you is there. Whether it could be height, whether it could be a disadvantage as far as like, the calling the play, like, play calling, whatnot. So there's a reason why they're there. It doesn't mean that they're not good. So you going in with that mentality is just like, oh yeah, I came from West Virginia, man. I'm not. I just need to step on the field. Have what I like to call your booby mentality. I just gotta show up.
Booby, let me spit. But check this out. There's a reason why that person at the smaller school was a starter in that position, and there's also a reason why you're not the starter in your position.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't put that work in, you ain't going to play where you're at, and you're not going to play at the next school that you go to.
Man.
Because at the end of the day, you still got to put the work in.
And listen, one of my buddies, he got drafted 3rd round to the Jets, lineman. He told me, I remember on our visit, because he had like big-time Power 5 colleges, he's a lineman. He had heavy recruiting, and whatnot. So when I asked him, I'm like, bro, I said, what made you come to Kent? he said, it's close to home. He said, but honestly, if you can play, they'll find you. You put the work in, they'll find you.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And that's what I plan on doing. He started from day one.
Yeah.
And he put the work in. I mean, he was an ox. He was a beast. You know what I mean? So putting that work in, no matter where you're at, if you put the work in and you might get this little bit of chance. Mm-hmm. But it's a chance. You know what I mean? So if you put in that work and do what you got to do, and you can play, I'm going to find you.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? He got invited to the All-Star games, all that. He put that work in. Mm-hmm. And nothing was given to him. He earned everything he got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt. And at the end of the day, a lot of the times the kids do need a fresh start, right? They do. The university's just not a fit for them. You know, they're up in New England and, you know, they're a down south kid and they're like, okay, this is just not culturally fit for me. I'm in the wrong place. Or you get to somewhere and, you know, you don't gel with the coaching staff. You're like, okay, I just don't fit in here.
Right.
Or, you know, you get there and the school part is too hard for you. Sometimes, you know, you put in the work, but the school's just too hard for you. Okay, I just don't fit here. And sometimes the kids do need a fresh start. You're like, and you see it a lot. You see where kids go to one institution and they go to another one and they flourish at the new school because they just needed that fresh start. I think that's where the transfer portal helps. You know, it helps kids with a fresh start. It helps kids get another opportunity to know what to do what they know that they're capable of doing.
Right.
So it's not all bad. You know, the transfer portal is not all bad. Of course, it's free agency right now. It's insane. Absolutely. It gives the kids another opportunity for a fresh start. But if you don't take advantage of the new place that you're at, if you're still stuck in bad habits that you've had at your previous institution, no matter where you go, it's not going to work.
So let me ask you, as someone who, you know, been there, transferred before, and obviously the transfer portal wasn't with it, you know, how it was. So when you was looking at transfer, obviously, you know, medical reasons, how was the process back then?
It was like high school recruiting all over again.
Yeah.
You know, the schools, we had to contact the schools because there was no, like now with the transfer portal, you put your name and the schools get a list of everyone that's in the transfer portal and they can handpick who they want. It's not like that. It wasn't like that back when we were in school. Right. We had to actively reach out to these schools like, hey, here's my situation. I'm transferring from UConn and I need to do
So you rely on your connections.
You rely on your connections and, you know, people to get your film in front of the next school. And then once they see the film, they you know, they do the research on who you are, they check out your tape, and they say, okay, we could use this kid, right? So from there, I had a bunch of schools that started recruiting me again. Obviously, I knew I was going to Boston College because Coach Brown's my man. You go on your official visit just like you were in college. You go, they give you the whole spiel, why you should come to Boston College, and then you make a decision. Okay. And at that time, if you were going to transfer, you needed to get it approved by your coaches. You needed to get it approved by compliance. And everyone needed to sign off on it. Even with my medical situation, I still needed to get everyone to sign off on me transferring. And
so if they didn't, what?
They didn't, I would have had to stay at UConn. You know? And now, you don't even have to tell your coach you're transferring.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell compliance. No one has to sign anything. You put your name in this portal, and you get recruited by all of these schools. You know? And there's no situation where you're thinking about transferring and your coach tells you, like, listen, this is the situation you're in. You could be in this situation if you do X, Y, and Z, and it'll put you in a better space at the institution that you're already at.
Right.
You know, sometimes all it is a conversation.
I was about to say communication.
All it is a conversation with your coach on why you're not playing or why you're in the place you are at your school. You don't always need to up and leave. Just have that conversation, and if the coach tells you, like, listen, this place is just not a great fit for you, then you go ahead and enter your name in the transfer portal and figure out where it is a good fit for you. But most of the times, man, you just got to have that conversation. You have to have that open dialogue and say, hey, why am I in the situation that I am at this school?
Yeah, nah, you're absolutely right. Now, with and how long the transfer, I'm not sure even if you know, how long the transfer portal been a thing?
I think it's been like 2018.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Around that time.
It's coming up on 4 years, and it's just getting bigger and bigger each year. Yeah. Where do you see the state at of college football, you know, with this, and, you know, with the NIL on top of the transfer portal.
If they don't put any stipulations on it, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
I mean, like now, 2018, you know, a lot of kids entered their name into the transfer portal, but they still need to sit out a year. They still need to get it signed off. But once they opened up the one transfer rule,
right,
now they don't have to get signed off.
Yeah.
They don't have to sit out. They don't have to do anything.
Now,
so it's even crazier.
The conference can block in-conference transfer still, correct?
I don't know if that's true.
That's not true.
You just seen the kid transfer from LSU to Alabama.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances
That's something we gotta look into.
Stipulations are with in conference.
I know it was
transfer.
a thing.
But I mean, we're seeing it quite a bit now where
Right.
kids are transferring in conference.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's even a thing anymore. Before, you couldn't transfer in conference at all.
Right, yeah.
You know? But, yeah, the kid just went from LSU to Alabama.
So, yeah, I agree. I think it's just going to continue to get worse until they put stipulations up.
They got to. If they don't, I mean, it's going
It's turning into the NFL.
Pretty much.
Like basically,
Pretty
like the NFL. You know, you figure you got the NIL.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick to a certain extent where you want to go after experimenting with this team.
Yep.
So it's just like if your contract's up.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy, and you know, sometimes some cases the kids are using it to their advantage, which is good, which is great. Some cases,
Coaches using it to their advantage also.
and they've been doing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you know, like Primetime said, 40% of his recruiting is graduate transfers, 40% is undergrads in the transfer portal, and 20% are high school kids.
So you might only bring in 5 high school kids.
You have to, like, it's going to get to a point where you really have to be elite in high school if you want to go to college, because now coaches are not having time to take and develop kids. Like, there was a time where you can have a whole recruiting class that's just not going to play because you need to develop them. You're going to have 10, 15, 20 kids that come into class and they all redshirt, but the coach knows that they have time to say, I know this kid is going to be a great player.
Right.
He just needs 2 years. And you take him and you mold him for 2 years and you let him rock. And he ends up being a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the coaches don't have that luxury,
Yeah.
man. They're like, listen, if you can't help me now, I can't use you.
But even when you think that, you know, a coach have that luxury, and we spoke on a little bit earlier, waiting to build it, they hit you with a whole out of left field decision, sort of like how Coach Kelly leaving Notre Dame. You didn't think that when you commit to Notre Dame or you think about Notre Dame, oh yeah, he building that up, then just up and leave. Or Coach Riley leaving Oklahoma to USC. So like when you're, and it goes back to you saying don't commit to a coach, but when you're it's hard to really think about that as a high school, you know, recruit. Like, all right, I want to play for Coach Riley. I want to play for Coach Kelly. You think about that. Let's be real. You think about that. So now, like, damn, after 10 years, he just up and left like that? Damn. Like, so it's like.
But you want to know what else is crazy? Like, you think that, like, I'm a quarterback coming out of high school. I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school. I want to play for Lincoln Riley. You know, he had Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Hurts. All Heisman boys who went on to be successful in the NFL. I want to play for Lincoln Riley. Nowadays, we got the transfer portal. I'm going to go play for Lincoln Riley. And then, you know, I go through camp. I'm young. I'm a freshman. I don't start right away. Next year is going to be my year because I got a kid like Baker Mayfield in front of me, or I got a kid like Kyler Murray in front of me. Next year is going to be my year.
You get the transfer.
And then you get a freaking dude like Caleb Williams
come in front of you like,
who we know is going to light it up at the college level, comes and transfers in, and
it's just natural. He's already ahead of you.
He's already ahead of you.
Because think about this now. Georgia's in a situation now too.
Yeah.
Because they got the transfer JT Daniels from USC this past year. Your boy Stetson just won the national championship. Yeah. He got another year due to the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they sold JT Daniels saying, you know what I mean, come here, boom, you be the man. This guy just won you the national championship.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
You're gonna play that dude. I mean, but the thing about that, JT Daniels got a chance at Georgia.
Yeah.
He was a starter at Georgia.
Yeah.
They benched his ass.
Well, because Stetson originally was a starter, got benched. Daniels came in, got benched, and then back to Stetson. Whatever.
Yeah. But there are times where you enter the transfer portal. They promise you all of these things, and like we said earlier, you still got to go. You got to put in that work. Because if you don't go put in that work. All of those things they said that you were going to be at that new school, you ain't gonna be that because you ain't putting in the work.
And then there's another example I'm about to tell you. I forget where he originally came from, but the quarterback from Fresno transferred into Fresno because their offensive coordinator took the Fresno job. So now the Fresno coach, who was his offensive coordinator that he transferred there for, took the Washington job. So now you're like, and so now you're playing like, what's up?
But he can leave and go to Washington.
Right. I think he is. I want to say.
Which is crazy.
I think he is.
You seen the kid at
talking about it.
UCF.
Okay, yeah.
He committed to Oklahoma. And like 2 weeks later, he's like, you know what? I'm going to UCLA. It's like the Wild Wild West, which I forget which coach it was, but it's like the Wild Wild West, man.
I don't know what. I don't have no. I don't know what the thing. It's like you said, it's only gonna get worse. It's gonna be a big ass frenzy.
Yeah.
It's just gonna like.
I don't know how coaches do it now.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're gonna start. You're gonna have to start seeing institutions do what Notre Dame recently just done. Like, okay, your coach up and left. All right, let's stay in house. Yeah. You got a great coach who I played for. Coach Freeman is a great coach, and I'm glad. I wish him the best, and I'm happy for him. But you got a great coach like Coach Freeman. Let's get that. Let's try to stay in house, keep our recruits, do this, do that, and that's that. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of institutions going to have to start doing, or that transfer portal is going to be full of your players.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just what it is at a lot of places now. You've seen a lot of big jobs open up because coaches aren't winning right away. You know what I mean? Florida opened up, Notre Dame opened up, LSU opened up. Ogeron won a national championship.
What, 2 years ago?
Yeah, he's fired. USC opened up, Oklahoma opened up.
Mutually parted ways, you guys say, right?
Mutually parted ways, yeah, exactly.
Oklahoma, USC.
There's so many big jobs that opened up because you only get
Oregon
opened up.
Yeah, because of Miami.
Guy got fired.
Yeah.
Like you went to Miami opened up. Now you get this window. The window is this big for you to win at the major institutions at the college level. So that's why they're living in the transfer portal.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And like I said earlier, can't blame them.
Can't blame them.
You know what I mean? Hey, we just hope that you're advised properly. You go through all your checks. You look in the mirror. You really got to be hard on yourself, like before you make that decision, because that's a life-changing decision that you can make, because you can end up being one of those 11,000 student athletes who don't end up at a home.
Yeah,
which sucks. Like, it sucks big time, because now they gotta go home, reevaluate everything, and go out and really do it on it. Like, all right, probably I gotta enroll into this university, then go talk to the coach, see if I can walk on there now. After you just left a full scholarship. Scholarships is going for $130,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You left it on the table.
You left it on the table. Because of pride.
Because of pride, man. So, I think we should leave it off with this. Like, if you're a high school student, man, look in the mirror. Make sure you're checking off all of the boxes of what you need to do and make a decision from there. Eliminate the noise from outside sources. Eliminate the noise from social media. Take that deep dive into yourself. Figure out what you need to do, and then go on from there and make a decision, man. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to be stuck like the 11,000 kids with nothing and no scholarships.
Yeah, and don't get caught up in everyone else's hearsay. Focus on yours. Focus on your why.
Leave the world of instant gratification. Absolutely. You got to leave the world of instant gratification, because success does not come without hard work. You're not going to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm successful when I didn't do jack shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to put in that work.
Man, anywhere you go, you want to put in that work, you know, and don't be complacent.
No doubt. Don't be complacent, man. So make sure you're always doing what's right for you, man.
All right, make sure y'all follow us on IG. You know what I mean? Y'all know what it is. _status 412.
Or status 412 underscore.
Oh, status 412.
We don't even know the Instagram handle.
All right. Make sure y'all follow us on IG. Status 412 underscore.
Uh-huh.
Make sure y'all follow us on IG. Status 412 underscore. You know what I mean? Keep up with everything we're putting out. I think today's conversation about the transfer portal was great. I think you can learn a lot. And I think one thing you said, Ty, was, you know, and I always said, the man in the mirror controls everything, man.
100%.
So you saying, look in the mirror. Before you make any decision, look in the mirror. Are you checking off all the checks that you're putting out? Are you doing everything you can? Don't get caught up in, oh, my boy's in the transfer portal, I'm going to get in there too. No, man, do what's best for you at the end of the day and understand your why and keep pushing and make the best decision for yourself.
No doubt about it. Cool.
Until next time.
Deuces. Status Podcast.